Why don't we ever hear reports like this coming out of mainstream media? Today, the Canadian government sought to steal even more money from the Trucker Freedom Convoy through a court order. That's right, folks. The Canadian government under Trudeau is extorting millions from peaceful people.
Back to you, Brad.
Hey guys, one of the reasons I promote things on my channel is because I use them. And I use them because I believe they benefit me. They help promote strength, endurance, and energy. Energy? I give you some freaking energy around here. A lot of nature's top fruits and vegetables that support a healthy heart, circulatory system, and high energy happen to be red. So come on, spit it out. Where do we get some of this red stuff? I drink Eternal Reds because it's got 8 specific foods that promotes energy. And these foods would be costly and time consuming to get in your typical diet. So click the link in the description and grab some energy.
We have what happened with the court injunction against GiveSendGo. NPR said judge freezes access to funds donated to protesting truckers in Canada. Forbes, and we'll read some of this Forbes article, Canadian protest convoy raises $8.7 million. This is on GiveSendGo, not GoFundMe. So GoFundMe froze the $9 million offered to refund all the supporters' monies. And then the trucker convoy protest organizers went to GiveSendGo. And in a very short period of time, I'll show you what it's up to now, but they raised over $9 million. Ontario freezes funds. Ontario freezes funds from GiveSendGo trucker convoy fundraiser. So here's the GiveSendGo guy.
Welcome back. The Freedom Convoy turning to crowdfunding platform GiveSendGo after GoFundMe sees millions of dollars in donations. And now Ottawa police are warning the Canadian trucker supporters. Listen.
There are other funding avenues that we continue to aggressively go after through intelligence, information, coordination with financial institutions.
So in other words, there's a voluntary market out there that we, the law enforcers, are gonna tyrannically and despotically, aggressively go after. Let's just make that clear. People are voluntarily giving of their resources, giving of their funds to help a cause they believe in, and the law enforcers are going, nope, you're not going to do that. No, we're going to use the violence and force and brutality and coercion of the state to knock that down, buddy. Let's be clear about this.
And all 3 levels of government. We will be relentless in pursuing the funding that has enabled this demonstration to continue to this point.
Relentless in pursuing the funding. That's what thieves say. That's a thieves' profession. That's an extortionist profession. We're going to relentlessly pursue the funds that are not ours, that were given by voluntary means, and we fully intend on criminalizing people who don't comply with us and moving in with that force, violence, and brutality and taking them down. That's what this guy is saying. So you basically have mainstream media applauding the criminalization of innocent people and the support of the criminal organizations who are victimizing those innocent people.
Wow. Founder and CFO of GiveSendGo, Jacob Wells, joins me now. Jacob, it's awesome to have you on the program. You heard that just there. How chilling was that threat that you just heard from an official there in Ottawa?
It's absolutely incredible that the stance that the police are taking for freedom-loving people across the world to see freedom continue. And I'm glad GiveSendGo's here to fill that role in providing funding for this peaceful movement. But to be honest, we haven't heard a lick from them. So they haven't reached out to us at all. So it's a lot of hot air and
stay tuned, because they have since the recording of this right here.
Fluff, in my opinion.
Are you ultimately worried that the Canadian government will come for you?
You know, I haven't thought that far out. I'm not. I guess to then answer that would be no, not that much, because I believe that people have a right to stand for freedom, and that's what we see happening. And largely, it is a peaceful movement, and we've been talking with the people on the ground there, and that's what they're seeing. They're seeing a tremendous groundswell of freedom-loving people that are just standing for their rights. And we're happy to see funds from people, primarily Canadian citizens, giving to this to push back against these overreaching vaccine mandate laws.
Let's look at your competitor, GoFundMe, for a moment. You know, GoFundMe, the people who say honking your horn is violence. But, you know, let's ignore what happened in Seattle and Minnesota. In fact, let's fund that. Big general question here. Why is big tech determined that they are the arbiter of right and wrong?
That's a fascinating question. I've really been trying to think about that over the past couple of days. Where in the world did big tech decide to take on this position of making those decisions? And we as a platform, and I think we're part of a tsunami movement of technology platforms that are saying, listen, we don't need to be in that position. Government already holds a role in going after illegal behavior. And so I don't need to step in and make that decision.
And that's what they're trying to make this out to be. They're trying to make it out to be illegal, criminal behavior to support a movement that goes against the government. We read the DHS threat assessment letter, and basically it paints anybody who even questions the government as an extremist terrorist.
Decision for people. People are adults and they can make their own. How GoFundMe gets around to thinking that they should just be the gatekeeper, it's beyond me, and it doesn't make any sense. And I think it's...
And that's what GoFundMe has done. They've said, you know what? Somebody needs to fill the gatekeeper slot. Might as well be us. That gives us a whole lot of control and power. When you got somebody who wants to control things, you have a controller. If you have somebody who's a controller who wants to control people against their will, the other word for that is tyranny, tyrant. GoFundMe literally wants to be the gatekeepers, arbiters of truth, the ministry of truth. They want to control your life. They want to control the flow of funds because they say it's wrong. And if they say it's wrong, then you must be a criminal to oppose them.
Stands in the face of all the freedoms that have been that we have as Americans in Western society, and that all that we stand for.
Let's focus a little bit more on what GoFundMe ultimately did. Would you ever think of doing that? You're a similar site. Would you ever think of taking money donated to one cause and redistributing it to another cause that you feel is more worthy? That is
theft, and that is the essence of what's wrong with communism, Marxism, and socialism. It's a mass wealth redistribution program. In other words, the government steps in and goes, hey, you know all that wealth that you created through your time and laboring energies? Well, we're going to take your wealth and we're going to give it to other people. You know, another name for that is theft. But when the government does it at the barrel of a government gun and threatens litigation, jail time, fines, and if you don't pay it, well, guess what? You're going to lose 100% of your freedoms. And if you continue resisting, you probably won't live to see another day. That's called extortion. And that's what's wrong with it. And that's what GoFundMe did. They initiated a mass wealth redistribution campaign in the name of keeping the people safe and keeping the peace, and then labeling the other side extremist, terrorist, white supremacists.
I can't even fathom the person who came up with that idea for them. That is so mind-boggling to me.
It is.
That they would actually think that that would fly with the amount of press and news that was going around this campaign, that they thought that was a good idea. Absolutely unconscionable. It's just crazy. And this is why they're getting attorney generals from across the states and all over the place, giving them pushback and going after them. Crazy move, crazy move.
Big tech should be worried that the people are finally fighting back, whether it's on the ground or in the legislatures, as we're seeing now. At least this has been a good thing for your site. We've seen your site get a lot of attention this last couple of weeks. Good for you. Jacob Wells, we appreciate your time.
So that was the CFO of GiveSendGo. I'll read this in a second, but I want to show you this Forbes article. Canadian protest convoy raised $8.7 million in just a couple days, guys. 2 or 3 days. As donations flow into Christian site a day after Ontario court freezes monetary assets. And you see this all over the news, the freezing of these monetary assets in GiveSendGo. Canadian truckers protesting Canada's you-know-what VAXX mandates have raised $8.7 million USD. Well, that's now up to, let's refresh the page. You can see this goal up here is $16 million. They already have $9.193 million. Let's go ahead and refresh the page. They have almost $9.2 million for the Freedom Convoy, and we're gonna come back to this GiveSendGo in a second. But Forbes says a Christian crowdfunding site as of Friday, as donations continue to flow in a day after an Ontario court banned the distribution. Banned. You know what that means? That means a group of human beings who call themselves government, who believe they have a higher claim over your life and property than you, to where they believe that they have the moral right to initiate unjust force and violence on peaceful people who haven't done anything wrong. And those people, they believe, have the moral responsibility and obligation to obey their rules. These people in Ontario, these mere human beings, have declared everybody who violates their law about this giving through GiveSendGo or GoFundMe or whatever, declare those supporters of the trucker convoy criminals. That in and of itself, doing that and issuing those bans and criminalizing other human beings who have not truly committed a crime, because who's the victim? Have not committed a crime. Or is there a victim? You tell me. You tell me if you think there's a victim in this trucker convoy and blockade. But these human beings in Parliament or in the Canadian government have declared other people criminals and banned the distribution of funds raised for campaigns supporting the protesters. And here's kind of the timeline of events and what they call key facts. Let me expand this for you so you can see it a little bit. Canada's Superior Court of Justice, injustice. Anytime the government says it's one thing, it's the opposite. Oh, we're frugal and we're efficient. Well, you're not frugal and you're inefficient. Oh, we're all about justice. No, you're actually about injustice. Oh, we want peace. No, you clearly show that you're for war. Canada's Superior Court of Justice issued an order Thursday prohibiting any and all parties with possession or control over donations, voluntary donations. Think about this. This is off the charts crazy. For the Freedom Convoy 2022 and Adopt a Trucker campaigns, the Globe and Mail reported. Following the court order, GiveSendGo tweeted, Canada does not have jurisdiction over the platform and that funds for all campaigns flow directly to recipients. Let's go to that right now. Here's what they said. GiveSendGo, and they got a lot of traction on this. I'm going to go ahead and follow them. And I'm going to go ahead and give this a like. Know this. Canada has absolutely zero jurisdiction over how we manage our funds here at GiveSendGo. I'm fairly certain. I mean, I have to believe that GiveSendGo probably got with their attorneys and said, hey, we're going to issue a tweet. This is what it's going to say. Here, you want to approve that? What do you think? Do we have your backing? Do we have your blessing or whatever? All funds for every campaign on GiveSendGo flow directly to the recipients of those campaigns, not the least of which is the Freedom Convoy campaign. Back to the Forbes article. The Freedom Convoy 2022 campaign on the Christian site started after GoFundMe froze $10 million in donations. Not froze, stole. To the cause and took the campaign down from its platform last week, saying the fundraising effort violated its terms of service against, quote, the promotion of violence and harassment. And what gave them the idea that the trucker convoy was all about promoting violence and harassment? Well, it came from the boys in blue and the Canadian police force. The campaign on GiveSendGo raised $3.5 million in 2 days over the weekend. It had amassed $8.7 million as of Friday morning. Now, as we've seen on this GiveSendGo site, it's up to almost $9.2 million. Crazy amounts of money here. Another effort, the Adopt a Trucker campaign, started in partnership with the Freedom Convoy 2022 to help provide necessities, including water, housing, and food. And it had raised around $555,000 USD as of Friday morning. Campaign organizers said during the news conference on Wednesday that Bitcoin was another means to raise donations to secure funds in the event of another shutdown. Tangent. As the Ontario government tries to block the distribution of money for truckers raised on GiveSendGo, Canada's members of parliament on Thursday summoned officials from FinTrack, an agency that transfers intelligence about money associated with terrorist financing. That's what they're calling it now. Hey, did you give money on GiveSendGo for the Freedom Rally 2022? Well, you know you're partaking in terrorist financing and potentially money laundering onto police. FinTrack officials said the agency does not directly regulate crowdfunding sites. Oh, but it wants to. It does want to, and I would not doubt if at the end of this, when the dust settles, unless there's major pushback from the people, that the police and the government will gain more and more power over the people, and the people will be less empowered. But it receives reports of suspicious transactions from payment services and banks. Banks in Canada stepped in to block money from flowing when a transaction involves entities and on the sanctions list. Well, they'll add that. They'll add that. They'll add that, guys. The banks are against you. The government's against you. The police are against you. Obviously, they don't want you to be free to give your money to whoever you want to give it to. And they don't want the people who are receiving the money, that voluntary support, to get that money. Amazing. Oh my gosh, this just boils my blood. Protesters have been blocking the Ambassador Bridge, a critical border crossing that connects Windsor, Ontario to Detroit, Michigan since Monday. They have blocked 2 other critical bridges at the U.S.-Canadian border, forcing automakers such as Ford and Toyota to close their factories or reduce production. Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, declared a state of emergency Friday, issuing the warning to demonstrators that they face punishment, including fines up to $78,800 USD and jail time. There's your threat of the good old government. Yeah, it comes from the United States government as well as the Canadian government, New Zealand, Australia, Japan. It doesn't matter what government you're talking about. They do not want their people to be free. If they do not stop the protests, $78,800 USD. The rallies were prompted by Canada's, VAXX mandate for truck drivers crossing the U.S. border. The convoy has drawn support in the U.S., ranging from former President Donald Trump to Senator Ted Cruz to eccentric billionaires like Elon Musk. So what I wanted to show you is what the organizers of the Freedom Rally actually say directly on their GiveSendGo campaign. To our fellow Canadians, and I'm not going to read all of this because there's quite a bit, but they say to our fellow Canadians, the time for political overreach is over. Our current government is implementing rules and mandates that are destroying the foundation of our businesses, industries, and livelihoods. Hey, they're going to start making that stuff illegal. They want to do that right now. They want to defund you. That's economic terrorism. Canadians have been an integral part to the fabric of humanity in many ways that have shaped the planet. We are a peaceful country that has helped protect nations across the globe from tyrannical governments who oppress their people, and now it's happening here. So these people who are against the tyrannical government, they're against the oppression of the people, are trying to be painted by the government, by the police force, and by fake stream media as insurgents, extremists, terrorists, threatening our way of life. We can't have the truckers threatening our way of life. That's our job, says the government. And we can't have competition. Like I always say, the government's good at one thing: breaking your legs, giving you a tax cattle funded crutch and saying, see, if it wasn't for the government, you wouldn't be able to walk, Sally. Aren't you thankful government's around? It's like, wait a second, my legs wouldn't have been broken if it wasn't for you guys. There's problem, reaction, solution. They create the problem, wait for the fear-based reaction, and then step in to provide the pre-planned solution that they had in mind from day one. That's what they scribbled on their chalkboard. Here's how we're going to do this, boys. And now it's happening here. We are taking our fight to the doorstep of the federal government and demand that, you know what needs to happen. It seems like, in the opinion of some, not me, I'm just telling you the opinion of some, what needs to be happening is that we do something different than we've always been doing. Because if you do the same thing over and over expecting a different result, you are literally insane. Keep doing what you've been doing, you'll keep getting what you've been getting. When you continue to plead with the federal government for something to happen, give us something positive, let a couple crumbs fall from your table, our overlords, our kind and loving and benevolent overlords. Guess what happens? At the end of the day, not only do you not get the crumbs, but they take a little bit more off the plate with the little bread that you already had on your plate. They take the rest of it. The time is it's probably time to just go, you know what? This government thing ain't working out. It ain't working out at all. Why don't we create some voluntary societies and bring everything down to the local level? Get rid of this federal overarching umbrella bureaucracy, because it does nothing but bankrupt us, oppress us, take away our rights, and then criminalize us, fine us, and throw us into a rape cage. And demanding that they cease all mandates against the people. Small businesses are being destroyed, homes are being destroyed, and people are being mistreated and denied fundamental necessities to survive. It is our duty as Canadians, as human beings, to put an end to these mandates. It is imperative that this happens, because If we do not, our country will no longer be the country we have come to love. We are doing this for our future generations and to regain our lives back. It's a small price to pay for our freedoms. We thank you all for your donations, and know that you are helping reshape this once beautiful country back to the way it was. For your generous donations to flow smoothly, the good people at GiveSendGo will be sending donations directly to our bulk fuel supplier and are working out the details now, which means your hard-earned money is going straight to who it was meant for, and need not flow through anyone else. Any leftover donations will be donated to a credible veterans organization, which will be chosen by the donors. Money raised will be dispersed to our truckers to aid them with the cost of the journey. Funds will be spent to help cover the cost of fuel for truckers primarily, and will be used to assist with food and shelter if needed. Now, there's more to this right here. And what I'll do is I'll put the Freedom Convoy GiveSendGo link in the chat room, and I'll try to remember to put it below this video right here. And if you feel like giving to that cause, let me know. But I would like to hear, and also they had, it looks like it was a YouTube video that they had right here up above the Freedom Convoy. But when you click on it, this happens right here. Error occurred. Please try again later. So I don't know. It looks like somebody took the video down. I don't know if it was the Freedom Convoy organizers or ScrewTube or who, but it looks like it's gone. I imagine it was the Silicon Valley oligarchs who really want to run interference for government and police functionaries. So when this video gets done rendering, I'll leave that link, but I really want to know what you guys have to say about this. Is the Freedom Convoy 2022 a positive thing for the people? Is it working in favor of the government? Is it a legitimate organization with good-hearted people who really want to do the right thing? Is it a psyop? Is it a psychological operation instituted by the government like some people are saying? You tell me what you think's going on with the Freedom Convoy.
Hey guys, we know with the way things have been going, it can get really interesting really quick. So make sure you and your family have a long-term storable food supply. Support the channel and get $50 off with my link in the description while you still can.